Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we from Group 3 will talk about hazard and operability study HAZOP in Saleh Food Industry Sdn Bhd. Our group consists of 4 members, which is Amirul Izlan bin Ismail, Muhammad Hairi bin Rohalin, me, Muhammad Rafi bin Barin, and Muhammad Alirul Hakim bin Suhaimi. For the introduction, the purpose of this hazard and operability study is to identify potential hazard and operability issues associated with Saleh Food Industry Sdn Bhd food product supplier. The study aims to prevent accident, protect personnel, and improve the overall safety and operability of the facility. This HAZOP study covers all aspects of the food product supplier, including its equipment, processes, and operation. So these are few HAZOP notes contained in the food processing, which is first raw material intake note. This covers the receiving and unloading point for raw material. Contamination, inaccurate quantity, or problem with transportation equipment are example of potential problem. Second is the mixing and blending note, verifying that materials are blended properly by inspecting the tool and procedure used in mixing and blending. Problem could include overmixing, insufficient mixing, or broken equipment. Third one is heat exchange note. It pay attention to heat exchanger used in cooking or pasteurization, considering flow rates, pressure, and temperature regulation to avoid under or overheating. The fourth one is the cooking or pasteurization note. Examination of the temperature and duration parameters during the cooking or pasteurization operation, making sure the heat treatment is just hot enough to destroy infection without going beyond. And the last one is the filling and packaging note. It's inspecting the tool and procedure used in the final product filling and packing. Besides filling, sealing integrity and safety of the packaging materials are a few possible considerations. And there are a few deviations for each note. For the first one, raw material intake note, the deviation is contamination of raw materials during transportation or unloading, incorrect quantity of raw material delivered, and equipment failure during unloading. For mixing and blending note, the deviation is inadequate mixing of ingredient leads to uneven product quality. Overmixing causes degradation of product quality and failure of mixing equipment. For heat exchange note, the deviation is insufficient heat exchange, leading to undercooked product. Overheating causes product degradation. Pressure fluctuations in the heat exchanger. For cooking or pasteurization note, the deviations are inaccurate temperature control during cooking or pasteurization, insufficient time for thermal treatment, and overcooking, resulting in product quality issues. And for filling and packaging note, the deviations are incorrect filling levels, lead to underfill or overfill package, filling issues causing packaging integrity problem, and malfunction of filling or packaging equipment. For the safeguard and recommendation for each node, for raw material intake node, the safeguard is to implement automated quantity verification system. And for the recommendation is to utilize the dedicated unloading areas to minimize contamination risk. For mixing and blending node, the safeguard is to utilize advanced mixing technology with real-time monitoring. And the recommendation is to conduct regular equipment calibration. For heat exchange node, the safeguard is to implement automated temperature control system. And the recommendation is to conduct regular inspection of heating element. For cooking or pasteurization node, the safeguard is to install redundant temperature sensors. And for the recommendation is to provide training on cooking time management. And the last one is the filling and packaging node. The safeguard is to implement automated filling system with feedback control. And for the recommendation is to establish regular maintenance schedule for sealing equipment. That's all for me. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Amir Izlan bin Ismail, and today I will present about facility description for our study. So for the first one is process flow diagram. Okay, this is a simplified process flow diagram for solid food industry to produce the product which is chips. Okay, so firstly, the starting point where solid food industry will receive raw material from supplier, and the raw material will then be stored at the storing area. Okay, so when there is a demand for certain products, raw material will be processed by bringing out the raw material from the storage area. Processing the raw material involve the washing, peeling, and cutting process before it can be fried. Okay, after frying the processed raw material, then it will be going through the flavoring process. Next, after the flavoring process has been done, the chips will be ready to pack up. After packing up, the product will be checked for quality before the product can be sold. If there are any defects on the packed product, the cycle will be looked to process the raw material again, and if there is no defect on the product, it can be sold. That is all for the process flow of solid food industry to produce their product. Okay, next, this is the major equipment that we have observed at the solid food industry uh, manufacturing. Okay, so for the first equipment is cutting machine where the raw materials used to be cut by using this machine. Okay, so for number two equipment is fryer machine where after processing the raw material, it will be fried in this machine. Okay, so after frying, then it will be transferred to the flavor mixer machine, which is machine number three in this figure to flavor the chips. Okay, so for number four is the dealer conveyor. Also, in the processing for the raw materials. And number five is the oil tank to store the oil. Okay, that's all for facility description. Thank you.
So, my name is Muhammad Aidi Dewarade. My matrix number DD200122. I'm going to present about the HAZOP study. HAZOP is a structure and systematic technique for system examination and risk assessment. HAZOP often used as a technique for identify potential hazard in a system and identify operability problems. Our class has made have made an industrial visit at a solid food industry neighborhood. We can observe that from our industrial visit, we can take a note that a few potential hazards can be identified. For the hazard one, which is note one, is fry snack. The element of this hazard is high oil temperature and no oil cover. Then possible causes is heat exposure to the human body and oil splash to the human skin. Consequence of this hazard is thirsty and hot skin, and also soft skin and discomfort to the human body. Action that can take for this hazard is to for high oil temperature is provide a suit that heat proof, then upgrade machine safety precaution. For the note 2 is storage snack. The element for this hazard is no Rex barrier. Then deviation will follow object and possible causes the unstable state and for the consequence leading to injuries and product damage. For the action that we can take a design proper shelving and racking system. Note 3, rack of pallet. For this element, high pallet stack, which is can deviation of folly object and possible causes limited spaces for the pallet, and the consequence leading to injuries and product damage. And action is establish layout for the pallet stacking space, where we can provide a larger space for the pallet stacking, pallet stack. Note 4 is oil waste storage, and the element of this hazard is more oil leakage and deviation, slip and fall exposed to the atmosphere. Possible causes is fully oil storage and outlet valve are open, so the oil will leak from the valve. And consequence is harmful effect to the environment. Then action that we can take is ensure a proper ventilation in the oil waste storage, so the oil will not spill out to the floor. Note 5 is flammable and substances. The element for this hazard is no signage and barricade. Deviation is explosion and flammable. Possible causes is head to ignition and chemical impact that can generate heat. Consequence is lead to explosion and structural damage affecting air and water quality. The action is storage in a approved container or space, then put and label the flammable substances for each flammable substances. The last one is lighting in warehouse. The element for this is less source of lighting, and deviation employee will discomfort when doing work and reduce productivity. Possible causes, poor maintenance of lighting. Consequences is increased liability, and the action we can take is provide more lighting in warehouse. That's all for me. Then I will pass our presentation to my friend.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good days to Dr. Afzanism. Okay, my name is Muhammad Amir Hakim beside me. Okay, for this part, I want to present about a recommendation for the projects. Okay, first, the raw material intake note. First, optimize logistic and location. Consider the placement of the raw material to supplier, transit and road and internal production location. Second, efficient handling equipment. Invest in contemporary and efficient handling equipment for unloading raw material. And the thirdly is the technology integration. Use sensing technology, automation, and data analytics to simplify the raw material intake process. Okay, for the second note is the recommendation is mixing and blending note. First, equipment selection. Select mixing and blending equipment that is suitable for the food item being processed. Take into account batch size, viscosity, and required degree of homogeneity. And second, automation and technology. To increase accuracy and consistency, invest in automated mixing blending technology. For the better result, use a sensor control system to monitor and judge mixing parameters in real time. And thirdly is optimize mixing and speed. Create exact parameter for mixing time and speeds depending on the property of the components. Okay, for the third note is cleaning in place CIP note. First, use a right cleaning product. Choose cleaning product that are efficient in removing product residue and microbiological pollutant. And second, temperature and control, which implement accurate the temperature and pressure control of the cleaning solution. And thirdly is invest in automated CIP system for increase and efficiency and uniformly. controlling the clean parameter eliminated human error and repeatable. Okay, for the last node is the storage and warehousing node, which is the firstly inventory management system. Put in place a solid inventory system that interface with the rest of the supply chain. Second, optimize a ranking system. Create and implement a ranking system that maximizes storage capacity, which allowing for a quick inventory access and rotation. And thirdly is implement efficient pest management procedure to avoid pest infection in storage facility. Okay, for the conclusion of this study is a hazard, a HAZOP, and with summary of the conclusion is suggestion method of the investigation. Firstly, summary of the result will provide the succinct summary of the HAZOP study principal result. Second, the risk assessment which talk about a level associated with the identified the danger. And lastly, recommendation which provide the implicit recommendation for minimizing identified danger and resolving probability and difficulty.